Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, and I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. And I've been watching a lot of tutorial videos recently, and people kind of showing how things are done, learning some tricks in like different Adobe programs, Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects, mostly After Effects recently. Anyway, point being though, I just thought it might be fun to pull back the curtain a little bit today and show you what it's like when I make a commentary video. So, yeah, I'm just basically going to do that. Now, if you're not interested in watching the extra stuff, which honestly is probably going to be a little bit boring, I'm also going to upload the video that I'm about to make separately as a separate video at the exact same time. So if you don't want to, you can just go ahead and watch just the commentary if you'd like. But I don't know, I just thought it might be fun and might be interesting. Some people might want to know like what goes into making one of these. So I'm not going to give too much commentary about my process after this. I'm just going to kind of go through it. And so anyway, hopefully it's interesting you guys. And if you do actually want like tutorials on some of the stuff, I'm happy to do those too. But all right, so let's get started. Look at the date, by the way. Good old Xellos. Legend. Oh, it's ZeuS. Okay. Didn't recognize his alt. It's kind of like getting an idea of when they were active. Okay. Which map is this? Huh. Looks like this one. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I've never seen this map before. This is a weird one. It's like the little minerals make it short, but there's this really long. Okay. Okay. And sometimes I don't look this stuff up because it can accidentally spoil it sometimes. Or if I know more about the gamer. So this is 2004. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test. Okay, normally I would probably have this volume up a little bit higher so that I could hear it, but I'm not sure if the balance is going to be okay, so I'm going to turn it down for this. Don't mind. All right, MSL 57, Xellos versus ZeuS. Oh, that's going to be a tongue twister. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at you with another StarCraft commentary. Doing another one of these MSL 100 games, and this should be a fun game to watch, actually. We got a nice little Terran versus Protoss brewing here on a map called Detonation, which I had not seen before today. Luckily, I did remember to look up the map ahead of time this time. I don't always do that, but this time I remembered to do so. And so this is a very interesting map, which I'll talk about in a minute. But first of all, let's talk about these players here. And this is Xellos versus ZeuS. And you can see there's ZeuS right there. I'm not sure if I've done a ZeuS game from these MSL 100 games before. I feel like I have done at least one, but I'm not sure. So let me talk about him a little bit first, because I know I've talked about Xellos. This is Xellos, is the Terran, by the way, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. There he is. Always looking stoic. In any case, so ZeuS is a very famous player from the old days. I believe he might have... Oh, man, I'm not sure. But I think he ended up being a coach later on, just because he was very, very successful. And this is the old days when you could type in the chat, by the way. We're seeing them actually type to each other in-game. Later on, they outlawed that, and it's kind of too bad, because I don't know, I think it's just an interesting little fun thing. But I'm not sure why they outlawed it. Maybe just to make sure that no one could say anything that they didn't want on screen, or just to kind of keep control of it. I'm not sure. But in any case, okay, let's talk about ZeuS in a minute, though, because this is a good opportunity to talk about the map. Because you can see both of them building buildings on this little high ground area, and then there's two small ramps next to it instead of one broad ramp. And look at the path. Look at the mini-map path of the vision. That shows you how what it takes to get from one spawn to the other. It is only a 2-spawn map. But you can see that in order to get from one place to the other, it's actually kind of a weird, snaking, windy route to get to the other base. So that's just something to keep in mind in this. There is actually also a set of mineral patches that you can like mine out to make it a shorter distance that are outside of the natural. And you see ZeuS getting his natural expansion pretty quickly, by the way. That's actually really, really quick. This is being played in 2004, and one base play was really common even through this period. So a little bit surprising to see that, but we're going to see if it works out for him. But in any case, yeah, so about ZeuS, though, he was a very good player in the early 2000s. He was kind of like the king of bronze, actually. He got like 4 or 5 bronzes in a row during 2000, 2001. And on through, I think he did get a silver in 2002 or 3. I'll have to double check that in the background here. Yeah, in 2003, he got a silver. It was a league that was like over the break into 2004. So this is mid 2004. So this is when ZeuS is still kind of on top of his game. But, well, I'll just leave it up to you. I won't quite spoil whether or not he gets any more championships or not, because this is the quarterfinals of the Spree MSL that we're watching right now. Xellos, by the way, is also one of those players that was really, really strong. Stronger than ZeuS, definitely, in the early 2000s, and he is still in good form at this point in his career as well. Both these players, a year from now, are maybe like I'll say 2 years from now, definitely 2 years from now, neither of these players are really strong contenders. Ooh, just a little bit of an SCV dance there. Nice. Xellos showing off his dance micro, having a little bit of a rave for that one SCV. Maybe there's a plague going on somewhere, so the SCV has to social distance and dance by himself. In any case, so point being, this should be a good, strong match, though, because these two players are both excellent players, both in the running to win this MSL, both strong and capable of doing so. And you know, if I had to give an edge to one or the other, I'd say probably Xellos is generally a stronger player during this time period. But you know, anything can happen. So we'll see how this goes. So we do have Xellos is just kind of letting ZeuS get away with this natural expansion for the moment. But that's a second factory, ladies and gentlemen. And he has completely stopped this scout. This one Marine is running around, and, you know, one Marine running around is kind of indicative of, oh, he's getting a command center, and he's going to float it down to that expansion, but he's being protective of it, right? And so it's kind of like a little bit of a psych out here that he's actually going for this two factory build. Oh, and he's sending out an SCV to mine out the minerals as well. He's made an open patch in the mineral line so that there's an easier route so his units can get to the enemy base faster as well. So, and he's got double factory upgrades going on. Obviously, at least one of those is going to be a vulture upgrade. Oh, and he puts a pylon in the block, though. He saw that the minerals have been opened up, and just before that probe dies, he actually gets a pylon in the gap, which is going to slow things down. It's not going to slow this down a ton, but it's going to slow things down significantly. And the two factories with the two machine shops are for the two vulture upgrades. He's got the speed upgrade. Mines are almost about to kick in as well. And yeah, so ZeuS now finally powering up, getting his robotics facility. And I mean, I think at this point in the game, he would be getting that regardless, even if he wasn't reacting to a potential push. There is the two factory push going on, and it looks like, though, that Xellos is not using this as like a two factory all-in or anything like that. He's just doing it as like a rush to put pressure on and punish this early expansion. He's going to actually expand off of this pressure himself. And beautiful mines going down. Oh no, he's walking right into the mines. What is ZeuS doing? He just walks right into the mines, loses 3 Dragoons to mines. The 4th Dragoon does hold position, but I mean, that means he's just stuck outside of range, not able to do anything to these vultures. As they pick off a few probes, the remaining probes are going to run into the main. But this is working out beautifully for Xellos. He's basically completely neutralized the advantage of ZeuS getting this early expansion with this rush. And now, you know, it's the tug of war back and forth, and he has lost the early economy to get the early tech advantage, and as a result, he's now using the tech advantage to leverage that into a better economy, and that is exactly how StarCraft is played. That's just beautiful, beautiful scenario here for Xellos. He is just kind of poking around with those vultures, doing a little bit of damage, and to that pylon. He might actually take that pylon out, actually, because I think the observatory just finished. The first observer is going to be popping out pretty soon, but it might not be in time to save that pylon. And he actually sends in a probe to die, so that's kind of cool. Maybe even a sacrificial probe to save the pylon, perhaps, to bait it out. I don't know. Yeah, so in any case, it looks like the pylon is going to live. The probes are going to come back here. The observer's in play. It's going to be able to go over here and check out those mines. The Dragoons are going to be able to clear them out. And he actually sends the probes in a little bit early, and before the mines are cleared out, and he's going to give those vultures another 3 or 4 kills of the probes, so losing a lot of probes. I think he's probably lost like 7 or 8 or 9 probes at this point, which is a pretty significant loss. Of course, he did, you know, get a second Nexus, so he's been making probes, so they may be on about even economy at this point. I think Xellos is probably a little bit ahead, because we did kind of, I got a glimpse of his SCV line earlier, and his main was really, really saturated, you know, which shows that he was continuing to make SCVs throughout the fact that throughout the double factory push. Throughout that, he was continuing to make SCVs so he could keep his economy up, planning for, it wasn't just like, oh, okay, well, now I'm going to expand because I don't think this is going to work. I think he was planning on getting that expansion all along, and the 2 factory vulture play was to secure that expansion and gain the advantage going into the mid game. And so that's exactly what's happened. So now we see that what am I trying to say? Xellos is getting a couple extra factories, and of course ZeuS is also powering up his production, and a couple vultures sneaking in there, just trying to see if they can get by into the main. Forge going down with a cannon as well. I'm curious to see that he's actually Xellos, as we've seen, has mined out these minerals in the middle, possibly looking to keep putting pressure on. You know, normally you'd think, okay, he wants those tanks like behind a bunch of minerals that can block these zealots, but in fact he's actually taking those minerals out, preparing possibly to have a big ball of mech push out there, possibly doing a 2-base push of some kind. Of course, that won't really help as much because there's still a mineral line that is blocking the close route into ZeuS's expansion. Although if ZeuS expands into a 3rd base, it won't help at all for that. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, that if ZeuS does to try and get to a 3rd base, then there's going to be that situation. And of course, we are seeing that he can kind of take up those spots with turrets and other things. So I mean, it's still a very good defensible choke, even with some of the minerals there, or even with the minerals gone rather. So in any case, yeah. So we're seeing both players just playing off of 2 bases right now. I like the cannons, just 1 cannon to each mineral line. I don't know if you'd see a lot of players play with cannons like that in later years of StarCraft, but it's just, but you sometimes would, because it just makes it safe, right? Then it's like, okay, well now I don't have to worry about vultures sneaking around behind. Don't have to worry about a vulture drop coming in from behind while I'm out in the middle of the map doing an attack or something like that. You can just know that that cannon's going to be able to at least have a pretty good defense against any vultures they get into your base and go after those probes. We did see ZeuS testing the defenses of Xellos right there, pushing him with a few dragoons, trying to clear out some mines, but meeting the extended range of the siege tanks and backing off. And, oh, vultures running by here again. Are they going to be able to get into the main? He does get a couple up into the main base. He's going to plant a couple mines down, but it won't be very effective. The observer is there already. The cannon is already in the mineral line. He's going to get a couple probes, so it's not going to, it's going to be like a little bit of a consolation prize, I guess, but not effective use of those vultures. Losing 4 or 5 vultures there to get in and kill 1 or 2 probes, not quite worth it. Okay, there is another command center up, so it looks like Xellos is going to be expanding to get his 3rd base, continuing to get extra factories in order to be able to have production to meet the increased economy. And there's an observer right over his forces in the middle there. So right now ZeuS knows exactly what's going on. And I don't know if he knows about the command center exactly, but he probably suspects it. He can see at least what the army composition is. He knows that Xellos just lost some vultures as well, so he's a little bit safe to take that 3rd base. And it looks like he might even go for a 4th base. He's got a probe down here. He might be looking to take a 4th base. It's a little bit of a dangerous position for him, but at the very least, he knows that he can. Because see, right now, you can see where those tanks are. Those tanks are kind of like in the middle of the map. And oh, here's a shuttle coming in here, try and stop this new 3rd base from being active. But there's already defenses there. Those mines might be a little bit of a liability. If he can use those mines to drag mines into the SCV line, that'd be pretty bad. But you can see where on the minimap, on the minimap, there's a kind of a red... I don't. You always see the Korean fans like looking like a little bit embarrassed to be on camera, and they cover their faces. But for some reason, her reaction was just like more amusing than usual. I don't know why I found that so amusing. But anyway, so you can see where the thin spot of brown between the red and the orange, where the 2 armies are kind of facing off, where there's a no man's land there. That is the middle of the map, and in order to get through to that right side base, Xellos would have to push through that middle, right? So there's no way that he can really get over there and kill that 4th base without making an attack and pushing out of that beautiful defended choke point with the turrets and the tanks and the mines and everything. So I think ZeuS can feel pretty safe taking that base, basically, is what I've been getting at for the last like 3 minutes. A sizable army has been built up by Xellos. Doesn't have quite as many tanks as you'd expect him to need in order to push out, though. He's still continuing to macro up. He's pushing up with a lot of vultures. Jesus, there's like 24 vultures moving out here. Just a huge vulture attack, planting mines everywhere. And he may actually be, I wonder if this is actually a gambit to clear up some supply and make use of these vultures in order to trade and or maybe refill that supply with some tanks or something along those lines. I don't know if he's maxed yet. I have a feeling he's not quite maxed, but either way, wanting to accomplish something here and having a bunch of vultures with just itching, just overflowing with mines that they haven't used, and just pushing out and trying to do some damage with them. They are obviously very mobile, so he can kind of try and push out with them, but losing a lot of vultures, though. He had a ton of them. He had like 24 vultures, but now he lost a dozen of them to those dragoons, and I don't know if he quite did enough damage to make it worth it. I don't, it looks like he only took out a few dragoons or something along those lines. Trying to surround the dragoons with mines didn't look like it was being very effective. Maybe I missed some Protoss deaths there that I didn't notice. And I like the three cannons over here at this expansion. Also, again, just putting him up there so he can keep his main army in the location it needs to be in the middle, and that's still protected from some vulture run bys. SCVs are having to transfer all the way around up to that left side base. Head Templar are out now on the map, and that's going to be a huge boon to his army's capabilities if he can get some storms down on those masses of vultures, what have you. It's going to be huge. And that shuttle, keep an eye on that shuttle, ladies and gentlemen, when this battle happens, because if he can get that shuttle in amongst the tanks and he's pushing out away from his turrets, and he doesn't seem to have any Goliaths in his composition, so if he can get that shuttle and drop Zealots in amongst the tanks, he's sieging up just in time. It looks like there was almost an opportunity for ZeuS to go in and attack when he was unsieged, but he does get sieged up just barely in time. Vultures going in and harassing again. And I think this is often the case where even if he's not quite maxed, if you have a ton of extra minerals and you can resupply with vultures very easily, if you're just doing something with your vultures, but it's keeping a little bit of safety for your tanks by putting pressure and keeping the Protoss army low, and just in check, then that can often be useful. And he just, again, has a ton of vultures once more. So beautiful play here by Xellos. And there's an observer right overhead, so he's able to see every time. There's a Dark Templar there as well. I don't know if he's going to notice the Dark Templar is there because the huge attack coming. And there's the shuttle going in, dropping Zealots on top of the tanks. ZeuS looking, and huge storms on top of the tanks as well. A beautiful attack, but where's his army? Where is it? It's not there anymore. The ZeuS has lost his entire army, and there still remains like 8 tanks. That is huge. The Protoss usually wants to end that engagement with all of the tanks gone. Even if some vultures are alive, if you can kill off all the tanks, then the Protoss can resupply, and the Terran just needs to sit back and produce an army slowly over time, basically, and he can't really do that if you kill it all, but he hasn't killed it. There's still half the tanks left, and a good amount of vultures, so ZeuS is really not looking good here. He's, beautiful. That's that's what you can do as well. He actually should have waited a moment to drop out that second Zealot, I think, because the siege tanks were on cooldown. But look at that, blowing up 2 tanks by just dropping a Zealot on top and making the tanks kill each other. Beautiful move there. But he's lost the base now and lost the probes with it as well. And now, crucially, he's in grave danger of losing that 4th base in the bottom right because he's lost control of the middle. And now you can see actually there's a little tiny blob of orange heading that way, and that's probably, it could be a force of vultures, but all he needs is like 1 tank and a couple vultures down at that bottom right base, and he can take that out as well. So ZeuS is definitely up against the ropes here. Looks like he's in position to take a top left base as well. We do see that carriers could be incoming, but that Stargate is not worrying with animation. It is not producing right now. And look at this. He did send in the tanks. 2 tanks in the bottom right, and he didn't send any vultures with them though. And so the probes come off the line and get a tank kill. Imagine that. That is I mean, like, it's and he's just got a scout. Oh my god, he's got a scout! Yes! Yes! One of my favorite units. Look, the guy behind ZeuS is laughing at this too. And it makes sense. What's he gonna do against a scout? He doesn't have any Goliaths. The turrets are not in position. The scout can just... I'm stuttering because I've lost all of my words because I'm so excited about this scout in the game. And there's a vulture Hard counter to scouts. GG. Scout. I mean, it's only one vulture, I guess. I mean, only one Goliath, actually. Did I say vulture? Here we go, and he's sending some zealots to try and free up this bottom right base. He needs to salvage this. A ton of mines going off, killing, killing a bunch of vultures. He does get the nexus, though. He does get the nexus, and the vultures are going to die, but not before they kill every single probe except one survivor. One survivor is left to tell the tale. That probe is going to have some survivor's guilt and is going to need to seek professional therapy later on in life because, oh my God, everyone he worked with just got slaughtered. And this was after he and his compatriots killed a couple tanks too. They thought, oh man, that was the worst of it. We're out of the hot zone now, but no, Xellos had other plans. In any case, we do see him trying to replace that bottom right base immediately. That lone living probe, rebuilding it. He's rebuilding at the top left as well, but it's too much. And a nice storm going down on a lot of units, but the shuttle died to those Goliaths, and he wasn't able to drop the Zealot bombs that he needed to stay in this game, unfortunately. Xellos still has a huge advantage. Okay, he is mining with that top left base now, so his economy is still in decent shape. He can still continue to produce units, but he needs to figure out some way of stopping this big ball of Terran mech. Now, here's the one thing that he does have going for him, that ZeuS has going for him, is that Xellos is still only on 3 bases, right? He doesn't have a 4th base up and running, so as long as they're on 3 bases versus 3 bases, you know, it's something he can kind of hang on to and try and stay in the game in some sense. And but never mind, he's gonna lose all the mining at this top left base, and I'm a little bit surprised, sort of surprised I should say, that we don't have ZeuS trying to do some sort of counter harassment, sending zealots around the map to harass the left side base or something along those lines, or doing a Dark Templar, dropping it in an interesting location and sneaking in and trying and kill some SCVs, because and I say I'm surprised because it would have been a really good tactic with all the harassment he's been suffering to try and do some counter harassment and get Xellos to be distracted and get Xellos to kind of be a little bit on the back foot. But at the same time, I say I'm also not surprised because he hasn't really had the breathing room to do that. He's been kind of worried about this frontal invasion for the entire game and hasn't really had the resources to spare a Dark Templar and a shuttle to run around there. Okay, we do see a Dark Templar. That Dark Templar we noticed earlier did run in there. Might have gotten 1 tank kill, but is eventually comm-scanned and is killed off. So not too much harm done by that. And that is something you can use to get back in the game, right? Is the Dark Templar, but not able to accomplish it there. And he built a fleet beacon for what? He hasn't made a carrier. I don't think he got scout movement or what is it called? Or APL sensors, is that what it's called? The scout vision range. But hold that thought. This might be the final battle of the game. Huge storms going off on a lot of the mech units. Is that going to be enough for him to soften up those units in order to kill them? No, it's not going to be. And there's the GG coming from ZeuS. So Xellos is going to take the game. And if I'm not mistaken, he's going to advance to the semifinals actually as well. So well played by Xellos. Nicely done to take out ZeuS. Very, very, very well played. And you know, you kind of remember, you can think about it being just down to that initial attack. I mean, it was a long game. It was a 26-minute game. I think 20-minute game. But it came down to that initial attack with the 2 factories. And just think about that. He came in there and just asserted dominance from the beginning and never let go, right? He went in there with the mines and took over ZeuS's natural expansion and just was able to get the economic advantage from that. And, you know, that's... StarCraft is played on the side of a high-altitude mountain because it's all about snowballing, because... he was able to use the economic advantage to get more units and just maintain control of the middle, and you know, never let go basically, and was able to keep putting pressure on ZeuS also to make sure that ZeuS couldn't do the counter pressure, the counterattacks with the DTs or whatever, to try and get back in the game. So I mean, I don't think it was impossible to get back in the game with some storm drops maybe, or if he'd gone reavers and done some reaver drops earlier or something like that, reaver scarab shots in the midst of vultures or something might have helped him. But in any case, Xellos takes the game. GG. Well played. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all are doing well. Just to pull back the curtain a little bit more, I've got OBS over here recording all of this. Okay. Oops. Did I delete the folder? Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here. Something a little bit different going on today. I am actually going to upload at the same time as this commentary video another video in which I am going to pull back the curtain and show you my process for recording a commentary. So if you're interested in that, it might be a little bit boring to watch the extra stuff, but if you're interested, you can go ahead and watch that video. It's going to be the exact same game as this one. If you're not interested in that extra stuff, then here's the real show. For some reason, I need to drag the video in first and then get rid of that to establish the size of the video, and then drag the audio in, because if I drag the audio on top of the video, it messes up the audio for some reason. So that's like how I figured out the trick to fixing that. So now the audio will work and the video will be the right size. And I need to balance them, usually minus 19 or 20 dB. And all right, MSL 57, Xellos versus ZeuS. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Got that. Trim back. Zoom back out. And we'll put this extra intro at the beginning. Boom. And then let's put some of this filler on top of that. Cut it down. Scale the frame size, make it fit. There we go. There we go. Alright, just make sure we double check. If you're not interested in that extra stuff, then here's the real show. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at you with another StarCraft commentary. Alright, so then we just use a hotkey there to export it. And I usually come in here because the original file size is the file quality is so bad, it doesn't change the quality at all to reduce, because this is like HD output, you know, or really high quality output. So I usually change this to like 5 or 6 and it comes out looking the same, but it reduces the file size so it's a quicker upload. And then we'll just queue that up. Has to open media encoder, and then I'll just hit play on that and it'll process. All right, anyway, hope this was amusing for you. I'm not gonna make you sit around and wait while I process and upload and well, I guess I can't upload it in front of you, can I? Or maybe I could upload it and then just set it to schedule later. But anyway, I'll spare you that stuff. That would be not super interesting. But anyway, I just thought this might be fun to show you my process. And sometimes it takes longer than this too, actually. Sometimes something happens in the first part of the game or something, and I have to start over. I think a game I did recently, I had to start over like 3 times. Once was because I like got a little ways into the game and I was so busy talking about the introduction and explaining what was going on that I didn't see who was who in a mirror match, and I was like, crap, I actually have to restart the video in order to go back to the beginning and see who was whom. But rather than just patch it together and try and make it sync up with 2 different recordings, I just was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to redo this 4 minutes of commentary. But it's easier to just redo the 4 minutes than it was to edit it. So in any case, so sometimes it takes longer, but that's the process that I use. It's pretty simple. And sometimes if I'm doing another video, then it takes more. Then I have to add more stuff on here. And as you can see, I've got a couple things that, like this little filler segment at the end with my logo and everything, I've got set up ahead of time, so I can just drop it in there. Actually, hold on a second. Did I cut this too early? Okay, it's gonna cut off there. There's a little audio, but the audio is empty there, so it doesn't matter. But in any case, Xellos takes the game. GG, well played. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all are doing well.